Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I feel so grateful just to have a piece of you today and to speak to you and interview you and share a little bit of your knowledge and experience, because what you've gone through is the experience and the knowledge is so valuable to share with people further than the stage where I've been lucky to share with you before, is we've both been on the same stage speaking and sharing our stories.
Yes.
So you're in Kamloops, BC,
Yes.
and I'm in Salmon Arm. So this is a great way to interview
Awesome.
on Zoom. Yeah. So do you want to tell me, we'll start with just tell me a little bit about yourself, like who are you and what are you up to with your days?
Sure. So my name is Amy. Hello, everyone. I am in Kamloops, BC, like she said. With my days, spend most of my days with my boys. We even just started homeschooling, so now I'm more with them, and it's actually going really well. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity and the flexible schedule to do that. And so that fills most of my days. That and just, every chance I get to share my story and to share toxin-free living, that, I teach classes just like you do with the oils and things. It's my favorite. It makes me so happy.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. I can't wait to hear, further down the road how your homeschooling is going, because it seems to be growing in popularity, especially if you're working from home and you're able to do that with Young Living, which is awesome.
Great.
We'll touch base in a couple months and see where you're at.
Yeah. We're still in the beginning phase. It's an adjustment, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. Maverick obviously doesn't know what he's doing. So it's just this adjustment phase that we're in, but he's so happy and I'm happy to have him home. So it forces us to have so many adventures that I'm again grateful to be healthy enough that I can feel like I can go out and do.
Yeah, that's the key word right there. That's why I'm interviewing you, is because you have got some great health stories. So when I've heard you speak on stage, you see, from what I'm remembering, I may forget some parts, but I remember you talking a lot about hormonal health and about your recovery from dealing with debilitating pain and endometriosis.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of women dealing with the same things, maybe not the exact, but very similar. And this is it's so important to hear your story. So can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. This is such an important story to share. And I think every one of us knows someone who deals with a hormonal imbalance, a hormonal struggle, right? There's kind of the baseline where we just have really severe symptoms that go with our cycle, or maybe we have something like endometriosis or adenomyosis or anything like that. Those are all very common. It's actually 1 in 8 women right now have some sort of issue with those areas. And I mean, that's only the ones that are diagnosed. That's just like a baseline. So a lot of women go for years just being told that these problems are normal female problems and don't get any kind of diagnosis, and are told that we're just supposed to suffer with migraines and severe heavy periods and all of the things that come along with that: aches, headaches, mood swings. How many of us are like this during that time, right? Like that, and that's considered normal. Right? It's considered normal to have a 7 to 10 day long period. It's considered normal, all of these things that are considered normal that we're supposed to suffer through as women. It's not true. We don't have to. There's a lot of environmental factors that affect our hormones. There's all sorts of things. I feel like I'm getting off on a tangent where I wasn't supposed to go. I was supposed to be telling my story.
I'll help you. I'll keep track.
Thanks. So for myself, I come from a background of endometriosis. I got diagnosed maybe when I was 17 or 18, but started having pretty severe symptoms and a lot of hospital visits starting at the age of 15. And so it took quite a bit to get a diagnosis. And since my diagnosis, I've had surgeries. I've been on all the pain meds. And I came to a point where the medications I was on were giving me more severe symptoms of like side effect symptoms from the drugs, even more so than it was harder to deal with my endometriosis, because I wasn't getting even any kind of relief from all the stuff I was on. Wow. And so I kind of had this moment of clarity, like if I have pain every day anyways, why am I taking all of this stuff that's giving me all of these other symptoms? So it's just this kind of moment of, I want to start from scratch. I want to cleanse my body of everything, start from scratch, see if I can start looking into more, holistic, natural plant wellness that could help me, because the medical system so far has only been able to do so much.
Yeah.
And there's only so many pills you can take without feeling like garbage. So
you were
I
at the end
started
of
from there.
were you kind of like, were you at the end of your rope? Were you just kind of like, okay, I've got to make a different choice. I've got to go to a different direction. I've got to take my health into my own hands. Was that your attitude? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. It really taught me, this whole journey has really taught me that we absolutely need to be an advocate for our own health. It is so easy. And don't get me wrong, I love modern medicine. Western medicine is fantastic. They've saved my life more times than I'd like to even, consider. But it's a hard process sometimes. It's a hard process because they like to tell you, well, here's a drug to mask this pain. Okay, well, why? Why am I having this pain? What's the solution? It was always kind of the Band-Aid, right? And it's always very reactive instead of proactive, I find. And so, it taught me that I had to be an advocate for my own health, because every time I would go into the hospital, into the emergency room, and have them tell me, oh, this is just normal female problems. And your guts always know, right? You know your body better than anybody. So you have to learn to be an advocate, to be like, you know what? No, something's really wrong. And I don't feel like I should feel. And maybe this is a little more than your typical female problems.
Yeah, good for you. No, I so connect with you. And I think from the moment I met you, this whole being an advocate for ourselves and taking our health into our own hands, I so recognize that part of what you're saying, because I have been there too. And it's been a long journey, but the learning that comes from it, and I also find the independence and problem solving and research, and there's a lot of skills we develop along the way.
Yes. Yeah, I know. We become, sometimes I feel like I know more about my condition than, the average healthcare professional I go see, which is fine. General, like GPs, doctors should only know a little bit about a lot of things so they can refer you in the right direction to people who specialize in what you're going through. But that's such a hard path to get on sometimes. So one of my biggest advices and greatest things I ever did was actually go see a naturopath who did more specific testing. When you get a blood test from your doctor, the range they put you in is like this big. That's normal. So if you're way down here on the super low end, but you're normal, they're still going to tell you that everything's fine. Whereas when you go to a naturopath,
and everything's okay, and you have these crazy symptoms and they don't go away, and
but it's because you're way down here on the spectrum, even though it's still considered the average and normal. That's not great. That's not a great system. So when I went to the naturopath, I needed a saliva test and stuff that's more specific and have it sent away. It narrowed that window to this, like say my progesterone levels. He's like, with this scale, the where it's supposed to be, your progesterone is basically non-existent, which is really common in women who have endometriosis. So that was nice to have that validation from a healthcare practitioner that was, looking more into the why.
Yeah. And I do love that too about naturopathic medicine or functional, functional medicine, and all those specialists sometimes that are expensive, but really worth it. There's nothing more important than our health, because what are we if we're not healthy, right?
You're nothing. You can't enjoy any of the things you have, any of the people you love, anything if you're not feeling well.
Yeah, I know. And I find there's very few people that I've met in my life that understand this as much as I do. And the people that I've met are in Young Living.
Yes.
And we put our health first. And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care if I've got a fancy car, or a fancy house, or fancy clothes. I just want to be healthy and living well.
Absolutely. Well, I think society has just normalized being sick. It's just normal to be unhealthy. You're not normal if you are healthy.
Yeah.
Right? We're just kind of making this very normalized. And so we want to start shifting that scale and getting people excited about taking their wellness into their own hands and being proactive with everything. And so as all of this was happening, Young Living came into my life at about the same time.
Perfect.
Yeah. And
Tell me what happened when you made that choice and you went down that pathway.
It was quite the journey, because when I went to my first class, I loved the idea of getting rid of synthetic fragrance in my home. That I could relate to, and I was so excited about it. But when they said, oh, like put this on your big toe and you're going to sleep, put this on your chest and you're going to, help with coughs, this and this, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that, but I like the idea of my home smelling nice.
I know. It's like, what's on my feet? What is it going to do to my feet? What is it?
Right?
Yeah.
And then the nerd that I am, I dove into my rabbit hole of, science, and I have an anatomy and physiology background. So I was able to look up and see why they work on a cellular basis and all those nerd terms. But it was fascinating and then I started experimenting on myself and those around me, because I like to do that with my starter kit. And I was blown away. I really was. Gloria convinced me. So Digize was my least favorite. When I smelt it, I was like, oh, I don't even want this one. I don't want it. I don't need it. I would never diffuse that. And I only want my house to smell pretty toxin-free. So why would I need this oil? That's why I'm so grateful for the kit, because I would have never purchased Digize.
Same here.
I probably wouldn't have purchased purification. I probably wouldn't have purchased frankincense. And I want to say those are probably the three we use the most.
Yeah. The ones that don't always smell the best, they work the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones you need in your purse for any comfort.
All the time. And so Gloria convinced me, because I was having a really hard day with my symptoms. And sometimes you'll see it if you have endometriosis or you follow anything like that. We call it endobelly. You get so inflamed. You literally look like you're pregnant walking around. And there's, those days are the days that I have no chance of doing up real pants. There's just no way. And so I was so uncomfortable, and Gloria convinced me to put the Digize on my abdomen, and I was like, I don't want this stinky oil. I don't want But I finally caved and I put it on, and I mean, within seconds, the discomfort was gone, and within minutes, the bloating was gone. I could put on real pants, no problem, move on with my day. And so that was my moment of, I really need to look into these more and start using them more. Take more action using them when I'm having my symptoms. And then I looked more into the Copaiba, right? Copaiba is really great for helping our body through any kind of inflammation. And I hate to admit this, but I was taking, at least 8 ibuprofen a day.
Wow. So similar to Gloria and what her story was in terms of inflammation in her body.
Yes, very. And so when I started using the Copaiba, that was like a moment for me when I stopped taking as many drugs.
How much Copaiba were you using per day that you noticed a difference?
I started using 2 drops a day. So I loved it on my abdomen topically, but now we have a Copaiba with the white label, especially like on the NFR side for sure. So we can ingest Copaiba. And so I would just put 2 drops under my tongue and I'd be good for the day.
Amazing.
Yeah, good for the day.
It's great for pain relief and inflammation.
Yes.
I use it with
and as a magnifier as well. So when I would put Digize on my fennel, and fennel is fantastic for our female system, I would put Copaiba on top just to magnify that.
Okay, cool. I'm going to jump ahead a bit. And when you started to notice a really big change in your health, so you said you used to have debilitating pain and your endometriosis, and I think the hormonal issues, was that just all a nice big package? Yeah.
Yes.
Where were you at when you noticed a big change, and what were the things that you were taking?
So I noticed a big change. So those were kind of my first 2 aha moments that oils could really help me. And then I really dove in. I dove into, well, I've heard of one that helps with progesterone. So that was Progescence. And then I really dove into the lifestyle, because yes, oils can help us with our symptoms. They're really good at relieving symptomatic problems, but getting to the root cause and cleansing and detoxing your body of all these things that mess with your hormones is everything. So the lifestyle, the oils are fantastic, but the lifestyle is everything. So when I went down that, research train, I discovered that, if I clean up my products in my home, if I clean up my beauty products, if I be really conscious of what I'm using in my hair, if I'm really conscious of this and this and this, it's going to allow my body to at least help feel better on its own, and start, being able to produce these hormones that my body needs on its own. And so being really conscious of things called endocrine disruptors, or EDCs, in our products, which, ladies, they are in Every product you own, I guarantee. If it's from the store, I guarantee there's some sort of endocrine disruptor in there. Fragrance is one of them, and fragrance is in everything. Right? So that's a big one. Being really conscious of what you're putting in and on your body that's going to mess with your hormones and, you know, put you in that mode.
Yeah.
And so that was a big one. So once I started making those transitions, I noticed I had to use